absolute value inequalities. Let's just start by playing around with them. Pause the video and think and list as many numbers as you can that will make each of these inequalities true. Did you notice anything? Here we just have a regular inequality, 4, 5, 6, anything is going to be bigger than 3. Here I have the absolute value of a number. I'm looking for some number that is less than 3. So the absolute value of 1 and 2 work, but also the absolute value of -1 and -2 work because the absolute value of -1 is 1 and 1 is less than 3. Over here, let's see, I have 4, 5, and 6 that work, but I also have -4, -5, -6. The absolute value of -6 is 6, and 6 is less than 3. Over here, I have the absolute value of a number is less than -3, and nothing will work here because absolute value is always dealing with distance, and we know that absolute value has to be a positive number. So, what does that mean? Let's see how these solutions appear on a number line. The absolute value of a number, let's see, has to be less than 3. And what I'm saying is, let's see, here's 3. Boop. And I know that -3 is here. All of these numbers will work, right? The absolute value of -2 is 2. 2 is less than 3. That works. But right here, I need numbers that are bigger than 3. I need 4, 5, and 6. And I need -4, -5, -6. Do we see a pattern? Here we have an intersection, and here we have going that way. This is actually a union or an OR problem. We have AND problems and we have OR problems. When I was a student, I was taught a trick. I was taught that less than problems were AND problems and greater than problems were OR problems, and I had to memorize it. I memorized it, I passed my test, and I forgot everything. This is an easier method. We're just going to reason it out using English, and we're going to be able to draw pictures, and you're going to be able to reason everything out. You don't have to memorize anything. What does this mean? This means I have a number, the absolute value of a number, and it is more than 3 steps away from 0. So a number is more than 3 steps away from 0. Okay, what does that look like as a picture? Well, if I start here at 0, 3 steps in the positive direction would put me here at 3. And 3 steps in the negative direction would put me here at -3. And I know that a number has to be more than this many steps away from 0. That means I have 3 in this direction, and that means I have all of these numbers in this direction. So this graph is symbolizing this statement. Well, what does it mean if I have the absolute value is less than or equal to 3? Well, that just means that some number is less than 3 steps away from 0 or equal to. Well, what does that mean? If I start at 0, okay, 3 steps would put me at 3, 3 steps would put me at -3. If it's less than 3 steps from 3 in either direction, that means I'm looking at all of these. So I'm looking at 1 step, 2 step, 1 step, 2 step. And because it's equal to, I am going to fill those in because 3 -3 are also included. So that's what that looks like when you reason it out. All right, let's start throwing some other numbers in. Here's where people start getting afraid, but we don't have to be afraid. What does this mean? I'm looking for the absolute value of a number plus 1, one more than a number. Okay, well, what does that mean? That just means a number plus 1. So a number plus 1, or one more than a number, is more than 3 steps, more than or equal to, because we have an equal sign, is more than 3 steps away from 0. Okay, let's draw a picture. What does that mean? Let's see, I know I have this 3 steps away from 0. That puts me at 3 and -3. And I know it has to be more than that. So I'm looking at more than and going in this direction. And it's equal to, so I will include that. And what I would do is I would say, well, I have a number +1 and I have a number +1. And our next step, which we'll do in our practice problems, is we will actually create two inequalities. We'll create this inequality from our picture. We'll create this inequality from our picture, and we'll go ahead and we'll solve it. Okay, what does this look like? Oh, this is a little confusing. I have a number +1, it's less than 3. Okay, this is where it gets confusing, but I have some number, so a number. It's 1 less than 3 steps away from 0. That's a little confusing for me to think about. Basically, when we're dealing with inequalities, I am going to solve for the inequality. I'm going to isolate the inequality first thing before I draw any picture. So I'm going to rewrite this as a number is less than 2 steps away from 0. I'm going to create an entirely different thing. This is way easier for my brain to wrap around than that. So what would this look like? Here I am going to start with 2. 2 steps leaves me at 2 and -2. And I have less than 2 steps away from 0. That leaves me in this area right here. So that leaves me between -2 and +2. Those would satisfy this solution here. That is what we're going to do, and then let's check out our next video where you see this in action with some practice problems, and you'll see that it's really pretty easy.